In the nuclear engineering department, we were really the first to start teaching what we call a dual delivery format, where my first class that I taught, I sat in my office with my headphones on in front of my computer and taught the students. And what's nice about Centra is I can do just about everything through the computer, through a smartboard, or through my computer with a touch-sensitive screen that I can do when I'm standing in front of a regular lecture hall. I can go through my PowerPoint slides, annotate PowerPoint slides. I can go to a whiteboard, draw graphs, draw figures. I can go to any Windows application. If I have a MATLAB simulation, I can go do that simulation. We can look at the results and discuss those results. What's also nice is all of my classes, I have the students do a final project. So I can have the students that are distance upload their PowerPoint slides for their final project and actually present their final project to the class. So they get some experience with using their communication skills. If you want to compare teaching just a regular class locally and teaching through Centra, I think there's a couple major differences. The first major difference is if you're used to teaching, chalk and talk, a lot of professors will want to take a lot of those materials and put them into PowerPoint slides. Other professors can just do the talk and chalk using the Centra whiteboard. So you have the ability and the flexibility to do it either way. But it does take time to get your materials put into some type of digital media. You need to be a little bit more careful and prepared when you go into teaching a class. It's being recorded, so anything you say can and will be used against you when the students take a test. So you need to plan out and kind of script out how you're going to go through and teach. If you're teaching solely through distance and not having students in the class with you through the dual delivery format, then I find it useful to go ahead and script out some questions. Know exactly what you're going to go through, and then have some questions so that you can try to involve the students. It's difficult when you're only teaching through distance that you can't see the students and you can't really understand if they're getting it. So the only way that you can do that is you can ask them questions. Do you understand this? And Centra has a nice little display on the left-hand side where they can put a green check mark or a red X. So you can say, do you understand this? And you can wait and say, do you need me to say it again or a different way? Students can raise their hand and ask a question and you can hear it. All the students that are distance can hear the question. What's a little bit nicer with our dual delivery format is we'll have maybe 20 students in class with us, maybe another 6 to 10 or a dozen students out of class at a distance, and then at least you have the rapport with the in-class students that you can look at their face and see if they're getting it. Then you have to pay attention to the out-of-class students and try to continue to involve them and make sure that they're getting it. A couple other things that Centra is really nice for, it allows you to teach your class when you're not here. So rather than teaching to a distance, we do what we call teach from a distance. So if I have a distance class and I have to go present a paper at a conference, really anywhere in the world, I can log in at my pre-described or the time that I need to teach the class, and I can teach the class from a distance. It takes a notebook PC, a tablet PC with a touch-sensitive screen, and I can teach the class with my headphones on. I've sat in the lobbies of hotels and sat there and taught classes. I'm sure people that walked by that saw me talking to myself were wondering what I was doing, but you can go up to your hotel room, use a wired connection. You can use a wireless connection and still do a pretty good job of teaching from a distance. I've actually used it for classes that weren't distance classes. I have a class with 70 students that's an engineering thermodynamics class, and I have a student that's taken a distance class from me before go up and set up using the smartboard, and I'll teach it through that smartboard to my class while I'm on travel. And if a student in the class has a question, they'll tell my GTA at the front of the class, and he'll ask me the question. He'll just relay the question to me. And I asked my students, because I used to get a GTA just to go in and teach it when I was gone. And I asked my students, which did you like more? Did you like the GTA or did you like me teaching from a distance? And I was kind of surprised. They said they would rather have me teach it from a distance than have a GTA come in and teach it who maybe wasn't quite as familiar with the course material. We've also used it related to research. Just recently I had a research grant with Sun Microsystems, who's this research group was located in San Diego, California, and our grant was getting near kind of a mid-cycle review process, and they said, can you come out next week to give a mid-cycle report? And so you get 1 week's notice, and the plane tickets are probably $1,000, and it takes 4 hours or 5 or 6 hours to get there and 6 hours to get back. So there's at least 2 days out of your time, and if you have to take a graduate student with you, you're talking probably $3,000 or $4,000 for the trip, not including your time. I suggested to them that we use the Centra technology, and I just give my presentation through Centra. So they had a conference room, and they had a projector that they projected it onto a wall, and they had a computer that they used for the audio interface. And my graduate student and I made our presentation for the mid-cycle report, and then we were able to have a question and answer session at the end of it. It worked very well. So you have 2 hours that you sit in your meeting, you're done, rather than 2 or 3 days of 2 people's time. So that was really very useful. And it was something that a few years ago we didn't have access to, and I really didn't know we had access to it for a while. I thought I had to basically set up a dummy class to do that. But now you can, by yourself, go on the internet, sign up for it. It'll send whoever you're inviting to your meeting an email, give them the instructions on how to set it up, and you're good to go. Another area where we've used this, we wrote another NSF grant on transfer facilitation for engineering students. Commonly, engineering students will take their first 2 years of undergraduate work at a community college, and then they'll transfer into a 4-year university with the hopes of getting their degree in 4 years. Well, the main problem with that is that Pellissippi State, these community colleges aren't able to offer all the courses that are really prerequisites to the junior and senior level courses. So we wrote an NSF grant to offer these courses to community colleges with the hopes that we would offer them to community colleges throughout the United States, so that these students would be able to get the correct prerequisites, and when they transferred to the 4-year university, they could finish their degree in just an additional 2 years. And we teamed with Kurt Grimol from the University of Oklahoma, who is using asynchronous web-based techniques, and we're using Centra, which is a synchronous web-based technique. And we developed some of the classes to be transmitted one way and other classes to be offered the other way. And we did have a neat demonstration project out at Pellissippi State where we had 2 classes. We had one class that was only taught through distance education. We had another class that was taught locally. They were given the same homeworks, the same tests, the same quizzes. They were taught the same material out of the same books, and the distance students performed better on the tests than the local students. That pretty much goes along with what's called the no significant difference theory. That there is no significant difference when you teach something through a distance or you teach something directly to the students locally. Now, we don't know if there were confounding or if the data would have been any different. The people who chose to take it through distance, maybe they were more technology savvy, maybe they were better students in the first place, but it did support the no significant difference. We're not saying that distance education did it better, we just know that it provided it. We were able to meet our learning objectives.